Hello and welcome to the Situation Room on Channel One Television. The Situation Room is a show that brings you current affairs, political and election-related matters, and all the angles that we've been covering them for you. It's a show that is leading up to election 2024, which is a few months away. And indeed, we have been bringing you all the analysis, we've been bringing you the polls, the results as we get them. Today, we are going to look at a few other things. We are going to do a regional focus. Last week, I was not here. Sami Wiafi and Fred Tetejabano brought you a focus on the Central region. Today, we're going to continue with that conversation. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has opened nominations and is actually receiving nominations from all persons who want to be president using the route of the EC, of course. This afternoon, that ceremony is continuing. We'll be touching base with the EC to see who has come today to file what nominations. So these and other issues we have for you here on the agenda. We'll come back. I'll tell you who is in the studio with me. You're welcome back. So the Central region is a critical region. You can call it a bellwether region. It's a region that more often than not decides who wins the presidency of the Republic. It has produced a president before and a vice president before, well, two vice presidents, Kensen Akua, Professor John Evans Atta-Mills, and it's also produced a president. Now, the NDC is hoping that it will produce another vice president. So Central region is very key in our politics if you date back to our colonial times and all of those things. So today, we're going to focus on the Central region. And to help us with that discussion, my name is Umaru Sandamadu, and I'm here with the president's friend, Sami Wiafi. Sami, how are you doing?
It's been a while.
I've been hiding.
You good?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Where have you been?
I went to Jamaica.
Welcome
I went to learn how to, I went to learn how to speak Patois so that I'll go and engage in the business of, you know what I mean? That's Sami Wiafi. He's our correspondent at the presidency in Akua Donkor. Fred Tetejabano is our boss. Tete, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay. Fred Tetejabano is from Somanya.
I'm not from Somanya.
Where are you from?
Odumase.
Odumase and Somanya.
It's not the same.
Fine. Fred Tetejabano is from Odumase in the Eastern region. The constituencies, the Krobo constituencies, 3 of them. NPP won once for the first time and then lost it again. So I'll ask him what's happening in his area. But for today, we are focusing on the Central region. So, gentlemen, what are we looking at? What's the interest in Central region?
Well, last 2 weeks, we started with the regional breakdown of elections from 2012 to 2020. Last week we did the Central region, focus on the voting party in the region, the number of votes the 2 political parties have, that's the NPP and the NDC have in the region, and we made some few predictions that come December 2024. NPP will win 10 seats, NDC will win 10. There'll be 3 other seats where, you know, the 2 parties will have to fight.
No, you mean it's likely to win. NPP is likely to win, and then it's likely.
We've been to the ground. We spoke to the people there.
You are very certain.
And these are what they are telling us. And from the analysis we made, from the views that we took from the ground, we are very certain that.
No, you can't be. You just say it's likely.
I think what it is that when we went to the ground, I mean, there are indications that these people might win the seats. But you see, elections...
If nothing changes.
Elections, there are 3 months to elections. Anything could happen. But the direction the people are pointing towards is the fact that these people we have mentioned and categorized are likely to win the seat come December 7th. So
there are 23 seats in the Central region. When NDC lost the 2016 election, it lost all its seats save 3. Which was Cape Coast North and South, and I think Ejumako Enyanesim.
Exactly.
Now, 2020, the NDC got some of the seats back.
They got 13.
13. And NPP has 10.
Yes.
Now, what you have found on the ground is that NPP is likely to remain with the 10. NDC will lose the 3. And what happens to those 3 seats? Because so it's 10-10, then the third...
So the analysis is that there are 10 seats guaranteed. At least
for both political parties.
So there are 3 seats which
can go anybody's way.
Which can go anybody's way.
And which are these 3 seats?
So these 3 seats includes the constituency of Felix Ofosu-Kwakye.
So is it
Abra Asebu Kwaman?
Abra
Asebu Kwaman.
And then I think Gomoa West is one of them. I think, and then one other constituencies actually will get the one in.
So, but today you're focusing on 2 areas, traditional areas.
Yeah.
So we are focusing on 5 constituencies, but 2 areas, traditional area, the Gomoa area and the Agona area.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at today.
Very well.
And from your conversation, let's just remind our listeners that we told them that last week there were about 1.2 million voters in the central region. So we'll go through the figures again, then we'll move on to the constituencies and analyze how those constituencies have voted since 2012 till date. So that's what we'll be looking at.
Very well. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll delve into this issue. This is the Situation Room on ChannelOne Television. My name is Umaru Sandamadu, here with Sami Wiafi and Fretete Jabano. We'll be going to the Electoral Commission headquarters where our reporter is going to bring us up to speed on who is filing nominations. But that will be after this break. You're welcome back to the Situation Room on ChannelOne Television. Like I indicated to you, a lot of activity has been taking place at the Electoral Commission head office, starting from Monday when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia went to file his nominations. That same day, the former President Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC, sent Johnson Asedun Ketia, the national chairman, to go file his nominations for him. Today, lots of activities continue. Yesterday, Alan Kojo Chamantin went to do same. Charles Usukumi is our reporter who is at the EC headquarters. Charles, I see you are standing where the EC chairperson usually would sit and speak to Ghanaians. What's happening? Has the nomination filing started yet?
Well, Umaru, it's been a quiet day here as the corporate head office of the Electoral Commission. 7 people were scheduled to come and file their nominations, but the morning session, 9 to 12, there was virtually no activity. It was just a few moments ago that some of them started to come in. The CPP's Nana Frimpoma Sapon Kumankuma, she was expected to file her nomination at 9 a.m., but that was rescheduled to 3 p.m., but she's not here yet. We've seen Janet Nabla of PNP. We're told that she will be filing as an independent candidate. She has come in. And then our own Akua Donkor, she's also here to file her nominations. There are other independent candidates we're expecting, but they are all not here. So these are Nana Stevens. Very little is known of him. Mohammed Abdallah. There's also Dr. Samankran and Asise Tom. So these are the people that make up the 7 that are expected to file these nominations. But as it stands, that filing process has not begun. In the next few moments, we expect the commissioners to come in and receive the documents of these Janet Nabla and Akua Donkor, who are seated at the Electoral Commission's Executive Lounge, waiting for the commissioners to come into this room where the filing process will be done. Very well, Charles. We will come back to you when they come in. So kindly, we'll keep our eyes on the screen. As soon as they come in, we'll come to the that's Charles Usukumi reporting for us from the Electoral Commission headquarters in Accra, where the filing continues. Tomorrow is the last day. We'll wait to see these. So 3 ladies coming in this afternoon and 2 gentlemen, according to what Charles is just saying. Actually, I think the total of 7 people coming up today. That's what he has said. We still have a few more people who would come before the nomination formally closes. This is happening not just at the national level, but also at the parliamentary level. So parliamentary candidates have been filing their papers and nominations also throughout the week. Indeed, the Wale constituency has been a constituency of action. On Tuesday, there was a rerun of the NPP parliamentary primaries there. The contest was between the incumbent member of parliament, who was Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Hajia Lariba Gariba, as well as Dr. Kabiru, now of the office of the Vice President. That election ended inconclusively. The Electoral Commission said, well, it was a null and void election. The party had decided that it was going to call a meeting, at which meeting it would decide the way forward. But before that meeting was held, the incumbent member of parliament withdrew
her interest in the contest, leaving Kabiru being the only candidate left, and he has been endorsed as the party's parliamentary candidate, and I believe he would be submitting his papers on behalf of the party for the Wali Wali constituency. So we'll be going back to Charles when need be, but for now, let me come back to my colleagues in the studio. So Sami Biafi and Fretete Jabano, you are free now to walk us through what you have been digging when you went to the Central region.
So Sandra, let's do some numbers. So as I said, the Central region has about 1.2 million voters as of 2020. In 2024, we do not know the numbers yet. We are still waiting for the EC to announce the final numbers.
1.2 million?
Yes, 1.2 million for 2020. So we start with the Gomoa East constituency. In 2012, they had 50,583 voters on the roll in that particular constituency. In 2016, the number jumped up by about 6,000 and over.
Almost 7,000.
Almost 7,000 to 56,995 people on the roll. Then in 2020, it jumped up close to another 6,000 or 7,000, which is 63,281. You realize that there are some percentage jumps in it. So when you look at the 2020 constituency results of Gomoa West, Gomoa East, it would be about 2% of the voter roll if you look at the whole Central region. Let's go to Gomoa East. In 2012, there were 50,500 in Gomoa West, sorry. In 2012, there were 73,188 people on the register. In 2016, 82,408. And in 2020, there were 90,090 people. That 90,090 people in Gomoa West would make about...
so for Gomoa West, Gomoa West is 2.8% of the total vote. 2.8%
of the total valid registered voters in the Central region as of 2020. Let's come to Gomoa West. Gomoa West had 67,117 in 2012. In 2016, it had 74,931. And in 2020, it had 80,341. Which percentage would be?
So that's for Gomoa West.
Gomoa
West, that's 2.5%. Let me just say that. So the Gomoa constituencies, the two of them, East and West, together have 4.8% of the votes from the Central region.
Exactly.
And now we are going to the Gomoa traditional area.
Yes, so now we are in the Gomoa East constituency. The Gomoa East constituency in 2012.
It would be helpful if you give us some of the major towns in this constituency.
Yes, we'll get to that part.
Okay.
Gomoa East had 48,690 people in Gomoa East as of 2012. Total registered number of people on the roll. In 2016, it had 58,430 people. Then in 2020, it has 63,746 for Gomoa East. In Gomoa Central, 36,000.
So Gomoa East, the percentage is 2% as well.
2%.
So Gomoa West was 2.5%, and now we are going to Gomoa Central.
Gomoa Central.
Which is the smaller of the two.
Yes. 2012, it had 36,843 people on there as total registered voters. In 2016, 41,895 people on the roll, and in 2020, 46,745 people on as total registered voters for that particular constituency.
So that's 1.5%.
That's 1.5%.
So the Gomoa constituencies altogether have 3.6%. Not 5.6%, and then the Gomoa constituencies have 4.8%. That's
when
the population.
You put all together, it's about
10%
of the Central region
for
numbers.
that area. Okay.
So let's start with Gomoa East, the presidential in 2012. Gomoa East, Sami, give us some of the areas.
So when you talk about the Gomoa East constituency, there are some famous towns in there. So you're talking about Nsaba, you're talking about Asafo, you're talking about a town also known as Dukwa. And the most popular town there, which a lot of people know, is called the Konyako, which a lot of people have made noise about Konyako in recent times. There was even a song about Konyako in this particular constituency. So those are the major towns within the Gomoa East constituency in the central.
But this is
region.
Gomoa, so that should. Are you
Okay.
mentioning-
Oh, sorry.
Because what you mentioned,
this is-
Agona,
this is
Konya,
So Aguna, so
Yeah,
you
going
are
to
looking at
Aguna.
Gomoa East.
Gomoa East.
Forgive me, Umar, forgive me. So Gomoa East, we are talking about Gomoa Afrasi, we are talking about Gomoa Duha, we are talking about Gomoa Obuasi, and then Gomoa Assam Kra. So these are the major towns within the Gomoa East constituency.
How have they voted since 2012? In 2012, John Mahama had 19,741 votes, which represented 55.3% of the votes. Nanado had 15,341, which represented 42.99%. When you look at the two, the total difference between the 19,000 and the 15,000 was about 4,400 votes difference. Let's go to the parliamentary results. In 2012, the NDC had a Kopinion Otre Edumwa representing them as parliamentary candidate. He won that particular election, becoming member of parliament for the constituency with 18,538 votes, which was 51 or roughly 52% of the votes. And the NPP's Richard Kwam had 15,409 votes, representing 43.25%. You realize that this is about 2,000 and some votes difference in the 2012 parliamentary elections. In 2016, there was a 10. Nana Akua Donkor, the presidential candidate of the NPP at the time, had 18,508, representing 52.48% of the votes. And John Mahama had 62,227 votes, which represented 46% of the vote. The vote difference there was 2,281. You'd realize that in 2012, the vote difference was also around 2,000. 2016, it didn't change much. It was within the 2,000 vote gap that each candidate won the election with. Let's go to the parliamentary elections. The parliamentary elections had Kojo Asemeni. He is a former member of parliament for that particular area. He came in 2016 to win that particular election with about 17,654 votes, beating NDC's pay-to-degraft Desmond Pay-to, who had 15,010 votes.
But it's surprising or interesting to know that it will be the same match come December 2024.
Exactly.
The same individuals will be contested again in December.
So Kojo Semeni and the Graph Pay.
Yes, they are the same individuals.
These two
back.
people would come back again in 2020. We would see what happens. In 2016, Kojo Asemeni of the NDC, of the NPP, won that particular election by about 2,000 votes difference. Let's come to 2020. Gomoa East 2020. Nana Akua Donkor had 35,852 votes, as against John Mahama's 34,095 votes. Sami, you'd realize that when you look at the vote difference, now it's 1,760. In 2020, 2012 and 2016, the vote difference between the winners and the loser, the winner and the loser was within the 2,000 margin. But this time round, it's reduced by about 400 or 500 votes, going to the 1,700s. Nanado won this particular election. Let's see what happened in Parliament. In 2016, the NPP won Parliament with Kojo Asemeni. Let's see whether Kojo Asemeni won or he didn't win. In 2016, he actually lost. In 2020, he actually lost to degraft Desmond. In that particular election, 36,637. DeGraft won that particular election, and Kojo Asemeni lost by 35,873. This is also close to about a very slim margin, about even less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000, yeah.
This is less than 1,000.
So it means that Gomoa East has been just blue and green.
Yes, it switches. It switches, and the vote differences are not that huge. So these are constituencies we can easily switch to each side.
So currently it's NDC.
Currently it's NDC. In 2024, these two gentlemen are going at each other again.
Same. So repetition of
yes,
2016,
one won 2016, one won 2020.
Oh.
In 2024, we are going to see how they're going to play it out. But this is going to be a closed call.
Yeah, so it's one of the three constituencies that we mentioned earlier that it could go anybody's way. Yeah, the analysis and what the people have said on the ground. The last time we visited.
And the politics here is quite local. There are issues of roads, infrastructure and other infrastructural development which the people are looking out for. And there's the general economy and cost of living, which is also play out here. But with the parliamentary, usually, as we have mentioned from the beginning, most of it are local. So even though people have issues with cost of living and employment, economic issues, they would usually go and vote for parliamentarians who would solve their local issues for them. Let's move on to our next constituency, which is the Gomoa West constituency. So, I mean, in the Gomoa West, which areas and towns make
so
up this
the
particular?
Gomoa West, we are looking at, you know, towns like Ebura, Gomoa Kropon, Gomoa Brofo, and then Gomoa Abenkrom. So these make up the major towns within the Gomoa West constituency.
How have they voted since 2012? In 2012, John Mahama won that particular constituency as presidential candidate for the NDC with 28,810 votes, which is 59.17% of the votes which were cast on that particular day. Nanado had 18,756 votes, representing 38.52%. The vote difference was 1,054 votes. So Gomoa West as compared to Gomoa East.
The margin is wider.
Two neighboring constituencies, but we look at the margin in 2012.
And Mahama won that election.
Mahama won that particular election. Let's see Parliament. What happened in Parliament? In Parliament, Francis Kojo Arthur of the NDC had 27,624 votes. As against Edwin Abaka Williams of NPP's 19,310 votes. The NDC won this particular constituency. And you realize that even with the parliamentary, the NDC also had a huge gap for the parliamentary. That's also almost about 8,000, 9,000 votes difference for the parliamentary. John Mahama had a 10,000 gap between him and Nana Akufo-Addo in the particular presidential elections in 2012. Let's move on to the next constituency, which is, the next election, which is 2016, Gomoa West. Gomoa West flipped this time round. The flip had Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo having 23,196 votes, representing 50.51%, and John Mahama having 21,041.
So the 2012 margin of victory for NDC or Mahama is way higher than what the Akufo-Addo's victory was.
Akufo-Addo had
2016.
In 2016. And you realize the numbers. Let's have a comparison of it. This is 28,000.
So
John Mahama had 28,000.
2,000.
And Nanado had 18,000 and over. In 2016, look at the difference.
So it's 10,000 in the past, and this one is 2,000.
2,000.
That's very small.
That's very small. It gives you an indication of how the people in this constituency vote and where usually they would vote and where their vote would go to. Let's look at what happened in the parliamentary. Probably we may draw some lines within it. In 2016,
neck and neck.
It was neck and neck. Alexander Kojo Aban, former Deputy Minister of Communication, former Deputy Minister...
he was at communication.
He was at communication.
Did he go to any other ministry?
He was moved from one ministry before he went to communications. But Alex Kojo Aban, a lawyer by profession, he had 22,741, which represented 49.62% of the votes. And Samuel Fletcher, you know Samuel Fletcher?
VRA?
Formerly worked with VRA, yeah.
Samuel Fletcher, VRA, 21,004 votes, representing 45% of that particular election. Very close. Very, very close. Nanado won with a slim margin. The NPP parliamentary candidate also won with less than 600 votes. With less than 600 votes. Let's move on to 2020. 2020, Gomoa West, presidential results. Nanado went again and maintained his lead there, had 22,741, representing 51% of the votes, or 52% most likely. John Mahama, 21,004, representing 48.1% of the votes, 0.1 of the votes. Vote difference, 1,737. So you realize, again, Now the vote difference still remains within the 1,000 margin. It's falling less than 2,000.
So there's a victory for NPP, but it's not as big
Yes.
as it was
so
for...
anytime NPP has won this presidential
It's been narrow.
presidential race in this constituency, it's been very narrow. We realize that the time John Mahama and the NDC wins, the gap is huge.
It's huge. Okay.
Let's see what happened in the parliamentary results for 2020. This time around, the NDC changed their parliamentary candidate. Fletcher decided not to contest again. Richard Jan Mensah, who at the time was a constituency executive, won that particular election, primaries for the NDC. Alex Kojo-Aban, the incumbent at the time, also went and lost. This time, the gap was 29,822, as against 25,335. Sandra, you could see the difference.
Yeah.
About 2,000 votes difference.
Yeah, it's more than 2,000.
It's more than
Maybe about
2,000. About 3,000 votes difference. In this particular contest, the issue within the constituency were basically roads. We visited that constituency in 2020, and when we got to the constituency, I remember we drove through the constituency, and most of the people were complaining about the roads in the constituency. They talked about the fact that the MP had promised them to fix one major road within the constituency, and as of the time of the election, nothing had been done, and they vowed to punish the MP for not doing the road. One of their concerns was also that the MP was hardly in the constituency. Don't forget that this man was a minister, a deputy minister, who was playing other roles. So,
and the other accusation was that he was a deputy minister, was not influential enough to get major infrastructure development to his constituency.
Yes.
And that is also a major accusation against him.
So it went against Alexander Aban and got Richard Jan Mensah to win this particular election. So, I mean, in 2024, who are the contestants here? The contenders?
For the Gomoa West constituency, to be precise. So the NDC guy is coming back again on the ticket of the party, and then the NPP has one Bismarck Nkum. He is the incumbent or the DC for the area now. Remember, this an orphan constituency for the NPP. So the NPP doesn't have a seat there. So the
Alexander is not running.
He's not running. He's not running. So the DC for the area, Bismarck Nkum, is going to contest on the ticket of the NPP for the party in this constituency. He's a 7 DC.
Yes, those who want to remember Bismarck Nkum, president of NALAC.
Yeah.
He used to be president of NALAC.
National Association of Local Government Authorities.
Exactly. Okay. He was very vocal the time he was president. He is now contesting to become member of parliament. And per our visit to the place, what is it looking like for us for this particular constituency?
For this particular constituency, it's one of those you can't predict from the conversation you had with the people on the ground. For them, infrastructure is also is one major issue they are looking at. The DC promised a number of things. A lot of people said he's been DC for long. They've not seen all these things that he promised that he was going to do. And so what difference will it make if he's given opportunity to be the member of parliament? The same accusation is leveled against the member of parliament as we speak. He also made some promises. He's not been able to fulfill some of them. So the accusation are on both sides. The DC is the one on the ground. The member of parliament is also in office. And so it's one of the constituencies that could go anybody, one of the three constituencies that could go anybody's way come this particular election.
So this has to do with the Gomoa area. Let's go to the last Gomoa area in this particular thing, Gomoa Central. Sami,
Gomoa the Gomoa Central, we're looking at towns like Gomoa Amenfi, you're looking at Abrekum, you're looking at Abunko, and then Ankum. These are some of the major towns within the Gomoa Central constituency.
Gomoa Central, 2012, John Mahama, 15,615 votes, representing about 57% of the votes. Nana Donkor Akua 11,215, 40%, 40.99, roughly 41% of the votes. What's the vote difference here in 2012? 4,400 votes.
So it's a small constituency considering the numbers. Mahama's win again was, so the margin was big, 4,400 for 2012. But again, he won the elections that year.
That particular year.
Let's compare that to 2016.
Let's go to the parliamentary and see how that also worked out.
Okay.
And we'll do the comparison. We had Rachel Florence Apo, a former deputy of minister,
Rachel
former
Apo.
deputy minister for gender.
Okay.
Former deputy minister for gender. She had 15,719 votes, representing 57% of the vote, whilst Dr. Adwad Nanake Tukujo had 11,385% of the votes, and that represented 43%. This is also close to about a 3,000 vote difference. Let's go to 2016. Gomoa Central, presidential, 2016. It turned again. In 2016, the NPP led by Akua Donkor won that seat. John Mahama had won in 2012. What was the votes and the numbers which they all recorded? And Nanado had 14,091 votes, which was 51% of the vote. John Mahama had 12,788, representing 46% of the vote. The difference, 1,303 votes. 1,303 votes. Let's see 2012, what the difference was. 4,400.
So even though Nanado won, it wasn't a very huge margin.
Exactly.
For
that was
2016.
1,303 votes.
Okay. But Akua Donkor won that election nationally.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Let's
Parliamentary?
Parliamentary. Let's check parliamentary. With the parliamentary elections, we had the now incumbent Nane Iya
who is the deputy minister for interior, as we
beating the then incumbent
Rachel Apo.
Rachel Apo, Florence Apo, by about some 2,000 votes difference. Nane Iya had 14,178 votes, whilst Florence Rachel Apo had 12,858 votes. In this particular election, there was a problem within the NDC camp for that election, that constituency. Rachel Apo had issues with constituency executives. Some who wanted her out openly came out to say that they didn't want her to represent the party. The party found a way of resolving it, but it didn't reflect
in the election.
And it showed that Nane Iya won that particular election. 2020, Gomoa Central, presidential, Akua Donkor once again wins. 18,563. John Mahama, 16,732 votes. Vote difference, 1,831.
So
From
that's
the Gomoa,
2020, where NPP won the national election, Akua Donkor won the presidential election.
exactly,
And he also repeated his
particular
victory
constituency.
in Gomoa Central.
in Gomoa Central. Parliamentary, Nane Iya against Jewu Apia. Nane Iya against Jewu Apia. Nane Iya had 20,552. Then Jewu Apia, or Moses Jewu Apia of the NDC, has 14,568.
Fred, let me arrest you, Sami, as well. I want us to go straight to the Electoral Commission offices. We advertised earlier that we are going to go there for the coverage. Akua Donkor is just entering the hall now. I want to just take you there quickly so we see what's happening. She's coming to submit her forms, and you see Madam Jane Mensah receiving her. Eric Tete, Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission there. And then I believe Bosman Asari should also be there. Now, so that's Akua Donkor has been in our political space for some time now. Let's hear what's going to happen in there now. Charles, if you can hear me, you are there. If you could just... okay, Charles cannot hear me, but Charles is the one who is helping us with this shot. So Akua Donkor arriving, I'm not sure who is partnering her. She's all smiles. She chose a running mate. Let's cross over to the conference room and hear the master of ceremony tell us what's happening. Oh, that's the Electoral Commission conference room with an armed military man in the background wearing a bulletproof. And Chairperson. So I saw something
on social media.
Yeah.
I also saw it, but I wasn't so sure.
that a journalist is who she has settled on, and she said journalists are more trustworthy than MPs, so she chose a journalist. Let's hear Jane Mensah now, shall we? Okay, I think they're still working on the feed. But it has been an interesting week. All week, the various flag bearer aspirants have been going there. Now, you can lead a political party, be the flag bearer, but if the Electoral Commission does not give you the green light to become a candidate, you cannot contest this election. And the election is guided by a constitutional instrument, and there are specific things that ought to be done. You have to return your nomination papers. You have to also come up with a running mate. If you do not have a running mate, you cannot be okayed. There have to be endorsements for you in all districts of the country, over 200 districts. You have to get the signatures of people who are registered voters, because per our laws, you have to be a registered voter for some of these things. If you are not a registered voter, you can also not be voted for. So all these things are considered. And so the Electoral Commission, we are told, has set up a team of 2 where they will go through a thorough vetting and auditing of the documents as have been submitted before they make the pronouncement as to whether you are qualified to run or not. Recall, was it in 2016 when Nana Konado and Rollins and others were disqualified?
Exactly.
Was it 2016?
2016.
Yeah, so Papa Kwesi Indom and all these other persons who were disqualified, and they've had to go to court and compel the Electoral Commission to let them be on the ballot. We do not know if there will be any disqualification. 33 is the number of aspirants we're expecting to file nominations or return their nomination papers here at the Electoral Commission headquarters today. So far, a number of them have done so. The leading candidates, John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, have already returned their papers. Their fate is yet to be determined. The Electoral Commission would formally announce when that particular decision is made, that we have settled on ABC to be the person on the ballot. Imagine if we have a ballot sheet of 33 people. That would be very, very long, wouldn't it, Sammy? I think the 2000 election ballot sheet was very long.
Well, yeah, and in recent time, what we're saying was the 2021, which you had 12 candidates on the ballot. The last night I was having a conversation with a friend that I foresee a number of them being disqualified.
Why?
On grounds of technicalities.
Because you don't want them
some of them came there without running mates, which is a requirement.
But you don't have to come there with the running mates.
I mean, on your sheet, there's an portion.
How do you know? Have you seen the other? Okay, let's get a feed. Let's get a feed from Akua Donkor.
We are here to thank you. Thank you so much, and good afternoon to all of you, particularly the presidential candidate of the Ghana Freedom Party, Madam Akua Donkor, who I call Auntie Akua. You are welcome. We'd like to welcome all of you, Auntie Akua and her delegation, to the commission this afternoon. I'm sure that you are all aware that we are here to carry out one of the most important processes in the lead up to the 2024 general election. And I'm referring to the filing of nominations by candidates. As you may be aware, Regulation 7 of CI 127 enjoins a presidential candidate to file his or her nomination with the Electoral Commission. And I believe this afternoon's visit by Madam Akua Donkor to the Commission is in fulfillment of that requirement. As a Commission, we stand in readiness to receive her nominations. We have instituted 2 teams, a technical team and an IT team, that will go to work almost immediately to review the forms to ensure that it is in conformity with the requirements of the law. We assure you that the Commission would contact you within the shortest possible time to inform you about the outcome of the verification and investigation. So we'd like to welcome all of you this afternoon, particularly Madam Akua Donkor, and to thank her for coming personally to submit her nomination forms with the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Thank you. Thank you. What's the time? 3:46. We can just do it for 2, right, Fred? Fred, we don't need to do it for all 4, or we have to do it for all the 4. Okay.
Watching ChannelOne television, what is happening is that Akua Donkor of the, what's the name of her party again? Ghana Freedom Party, GFP, has just arrived at the offices of the Electoral Commission to submit her nomination forms. You've seen the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, receive her, and she has handed over a bundle of documents to the EC chairperson. We don't know who her running mate is and whether the running mate is there or not. She would be speaking in a bit. Typically, she does so in the Tree language. And I'm sure you can see in the background there, the weapon being wielded by the military man who is providing security in the conference room of the Electoral Commission. They are showing I believe, her agents the right portions to sign and what steps have to be taken. Now, there are a specific number of copies that have to be delivered or returned because this is a very mechanical and technical process. There are specific rules that govern this election. If you want to be president of the land, you have to bring certain documents bearing certain information to the Electoral Commission, which Electoral Commission would vet them. Now, preliminarily, they would just look through the documents here. The proper vetting or the full vetting would happen later. This is not the first time Akua Donkor is trying to run for president. I'm not sure she's ever succeeded in being on the ballot before. Sami Biafi and Fred, has Akua Donkor ever succeeded on being on the ballot paper before? No. No. So this is a second attempt, I think, at trying to be president. We do not know if she will be lucky this time around. Mind you, we also have the CPP's Professor Nana. Not Professor Nana, Nana Kuma also are coming in a bit. While I talk about Professor Nana, in the central region, in my introduction said that it produced 2 vice presidents, males, and I inadvertently left out Parkwesi, Mr. Arthur, the late, who also is a running mate, vice president. So it produced 3 vice presidents.
No, 2. Paul Kinsenaka is from the Western region.
Not Central region?
No,
Central. Okay,
Central
good. So yes. I have been corrected and I stand corrected. So let's hear Akua Donkor now. Having a technical issue there, trying to hear Akua Donkor who submitted that. I don't know what the two of you make of the process. Tedious. As for you, for some reason, you don't want smaller parties to flourish in this country.
Not at all. I've always had my opinions when it comes to smaller political parties.
Let me go back to the conference room. Let's hear it.
Young Pantabi, I did the penny quenching. And yeah, Madame wants it, and yeah, Michito, what's the open Michito? I'm going to be a bit. And this the idea. You make one my mommy don't have it. It's a year. A year, mammy, no, yeah, you never take a silver. I don't know what to speak. Hey, you did. One more head and but all my way in the moment. And yeah, no. Yeah, no. Ready? That's it.
Receipt of nominations from Ghana Freedom Party. Madam, thank you very much.
Chavio.
So that's Akua Donkor celebrating out as she walks out of the Electoral Commission conference room. She has submitted her documents. What I'm not sure is whether she has also mentioned who her running mate is and whether her running mate was with her or not. But she was not made to say anything on that. And the Electoral Commission chairperson.
She was asked a question that she's going to adopt him or her very soon.
Okay, but did she say whether he was in there or not?
No, that she didn't.
Okay.
She had some consultations with her people and they said they were
They were announced it at
They
the
will be
later
announcing. Okay. So the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, with her deputy, Eric Tete, I believe anticipating the arrival of the next group, the Convention People's Party will be coming in with their candidate who is going to lead them into the election. And I think the party is arriving. Let's see who these particular persons are. Gentlemen, can you identify our guests?
They are still coming in.
I suspect that could be, that's not CPP, it could be Janet.
That's Janet Nabla.
The former General Secretary of the PNC.
Please don't associate her with PNC.
Former, that's why I said former.
She doesn't want to have anything to do with
to
PNC.
form
The PNP.
PNP, yeah.
But the PNP's registration as a political party has not been completed. So they've opted for her to go as an independent candidate. She cannot run on the ticket of the political party because the registration process has not ended. So now she has opted to go as an independent candidate. That's why you see Janet Nabla going in as an independent candidate.
So per the law, the political party formation is a very tedious one.
Yes.
You have to have offices.
It takes a while. It's a process, you know.
The EC needs to verify all details, including 275 offices and all constituencies.
So it's easier for you to run as an independent person than to go on the ticket of a political party. Let's hear the announcement that's going to be made in the conference room. Janet Nabla, very fiery, tough. Can we get a sound from the conference room? Okay, we are. So you can see there in your shots, the person who does the MC role for the Electoral Commission. I wish we could hear her. Janet Nabla. Has she decided who her running mate is? Has she announced her running mate?
So usually what happens is that when they present their documents to the EC, they opt to mention who they have included in their documents as their running mates. Some of them do, some of them do not. For example, Cheddar did not announce his running mate. We've seen Akua Donkor also not announcing her running mate. Alan Tremantin announced his running mate after the presentation of his document. So I don't know the option that Janet Nabla would go for, whether she would want to reveal the name of her running mate during the presentation after, or would do a proper outdooring of the running mate.
I see. So Janet Nabla, just let's remember, in 2020 was the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, had David Apasara as their flag bearer, and then
Moses Daniba
as national chairman.
Yes.
They fell out in a very brutal manner, and I have interviewed her a number of times, and accusations she levels against those people, and the contact accusation is that she's working with and for Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama, who has been the longest flag bearer of the PNC until Hassan Ayariga toppled him from that position. So now there's been a back and forth. She was supposedly fired from the PNC. She decided, well, keep your party, I'm going to create one. And she creates a party, and the PNC logo, the logo is a coconut. She says hers is a palm nut fruit. And PNC is Ayakube. She is Ayabe. Now, so Abem Kwani Kubensio. That essentially is what's happening.
And even the name, the choice of name.
Do I have sound? Can I hear Jane Mensah?
This environment fighting for the cause of multi-party democracy for many years, and so it's nice to receive you and your delegation this afternoon. So I start by saying that this is the day that the Almighty God has made, and we are happy, we rejoice, and we are glad in it. This afternoon we are gathered to fulfill one of the most important processes in the lead-up to the 2024 general election. And without this process, the Commission cannot run the election. And here I'm referring to the filing of nominations by presidential candidates. Regulation 7 of CI 127 enjoins a presidential candidate to file his or her nomination with the Electoral Commission. And I believe this is why you are here this afternoon. As a commission, we've instituted 2 teams, a technical team and an IT team, to review and scrutinize the nomination forms that we have presented to ensure that they are in conformity with the law and to ensure that the candidate meets the requirements as enshrined in law. I'd like to assure you that the teams have been oriented and trained, and they will be fair but firm in scrutinizing these forms. They are not to exercise discretion, and so what is on the form is what they need to report to it, and to ascertain whether the candidate has fully satisfied the requirements as provided by law. The teams will go to work almost immediately on the forms, and I'm happy to inform you that you should be hearing from us within the shortest possible time. We wish you all the best, and we'd like to thank you, Madam Janet Nabla, for coming personally to the Electoral Commission this afternoon to present your forms. Thank you.
Also, you have there in your shot Janet Nabla of the PNP, the People's National Party, even though she's running as an independent person now, submitting her documents, nomination documents to the Electoral Commission chairperson. I would have thought that she would say something. Is she going to say anything before? Yes. So she's going to take the seat and then and make her remarks. The Electoral Commission would vet the documents, just a preliminary vetting now, to just check and be sure a few things that are required, which are prerequisites, are present before the documents are accepted. So you see Eric Tete doing that with another official of the Electoral Commission. But the main vetting would be done behind the scenes. And we also have an understanding that the Electoral Commission has a planned press conference, Sami.
At 4 p.m. to address issues.
Is it today or tomorrow?
Today.
Okay.
To address issues surrounding the voter registration. You know, the NDC have raised a number of issues with the voter register and the exhibition exercise. So they wish to address some of the issues the NDC had raised in respect of the voter exhibition exercise that ended some few weeks ago or so.
I see. So that's a plan that's what NDC is planning to demonstrate over, right?
Yes.
NDC is
The
planning
17th of September.
17th of September, nationwide demonstration. So we will see what the EC would say to that particular threat by the NDC. Meanwhile, Janet Nabla, now again, she too, the issue of the running mate, has she publicly said who her running mate is yet?
No,
she has not
mentioned.
Maybe she will announce it, or she will follow the trend and say, we'll announce it at a later date.
But it must be noted that as part of the requirements to present your documents to the EC, the name of your running mate
has to be on the document.
So some of them would write the name but will not make it public. So she would choose or opt to make it public there at the EC office, or probably at another occasion where she would want to officially unveil the person. Like Cheddar says, he wants to unmask his running mate.
Okay. So
but you know this, the EC has announced that they've set up 2 separate teams that will be examining the forms of the presidential aspirants or candidates before a final decision will be taken. Remember when Dr. Bosman Asari came here during the launch of our election coverage? He made mention that the team will scrutinize this particular nomination forms very well, and if there are areas where they need to call back the candidates to do those corrections, they will allow them space and time to...
Which is what the court did in 2016. When they were rejected on clerical issues, the court ordered that they should be allowed to come and make the corrections on their forms.
Yes, so...
Let's go back to the conference room. Let's see if we can hear what they're saying there.
Thank you so much. Let me use this opportunity to thank the Electoral Commissioner and her team for a great work done. They gave 25% discount to all women aspirants. And I think that this was something that was to encourage more women to get themselves involved in politics. In fact, in the history of this country, it has never happened before that the Electoral Commission will give a discount just to encourage people to contest. So let me use this opportunity to thank the Commission that your name will enter into the Guinness books of records of doing this. It's a great initiative, and the women of Ghana will appreciate it so much. Let me also register something that I think that maybe moving forward we should look at. Look at the number of leaflets in front of you. We have to run around the whole 262 districts to get this. And they are supposed to write them in quadruplets. In the 21st century, we are now in a not even Gen Z world, Gen Alpha world, where digitalization is supposed to be the hour of the day. Yet we have to do all these things. We are pleading with the Commission. It's true that at times we think that when you do that, that is when you will now feel that the thing is expensive and you will hold it well. But the the errors will be too much. It is not easy running around 262 districts to do this. We think that going forward, there should be a digitalized way of doing things so that candidates won't have to pass through this hell. We thank Ghanaians so much. We think that I have come as a candidate to be able to redeem Ghana from the misfortunes that have been caused, that it has, from the misfortunes of Ghanaians. So I will plead with the people of Ghana to make a change, because all the time it has been men since the history of this country. We have had men rule this country. And when you look at even the Bible, it says that when God created Adam alone, and Adam came, he couldn't take care of himself. They have to bring Eve as a helper to be able to make things work. So we have tried the men. So the time has come for Ghanaians to also try a woman. We are bringing in a lot of initiatives like price control, talking about banning the people from using dollars in our country, trying to make sure that we support struggling single mothers in the country, and then focusing on the vulnerable and doing the right thing to make Ghana rise up and work again. So Ghanaians, please, Janet Asana Nabla should be the next candidate you should look for. Thank you.
This moves Madam Janet Asana Nabla. Thank you very much for coming. And that brings us to the end of the event. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, Janet Nabla of the People's National Party, even though she's not going to run on a party ticket, going there to submit her papers to the Electoral Commission. And she's used the opportunity to campaign, didn't she? She's saying that, first of all, she's excited that they've reduced the cost that has to be paid by women aspirants. So she's celebrating the Electoral Commission for that. But she's also saying that the Electoral Commission should consider going digital. Now, that's a very important point.
There's a point I agree with.
You agree with? Why?
There's a point I agree with, because if you want to be president, you take the form, as she said, you need to roam the entire 262 districts across the country to get endorsement and all this thing. It's quite a tedious job. If you can't take them around, better still, you have to transport the people down here to Accra, and they will do this thing. It costs intensive. You need to house the people, feed them, and the rest. So if they were able to download their forms online, there should be another way where these people can also endorse these forms online as well.
Okay.
So it reduces the cost involved and the manual work that's involved, because you could see the bulky documents they were bringing. In some places, you don't bring even documents. Everything is done online.
So do you really need to travel across the 262?
That's why I said, better still, if you can't do that, you get the people down here.
They don't have to even come. Once you have representatives in all constituencies which have districts, all you need to do is to scan your documents and ensure that these documents are signed.
I agree with you on that. That I agree perfectly. But then if you look at the bulky documents that all the aspirants have brought,
yes,
from Dr. Baumia to John Mahama to Nabla and everything, you could see how bulky they are. And we are in a process, or we are in a country where we want to do less of paperwork, or we are going paperless, for want of a better word. And you are still carrying all this number of sheets to be brought in there.
Sammy, let me terminate you. Let me go back to the conference room. So the Convention People's Party is there. Let's hear what's happening. It's difficult hearing the audio from the conference room. Convention People's Party's latest flag bearer. They just elected a flag bearer a few days ago. Yeah, so Nana Kuma, she was their chairman.
Yeah. Nana Sapoma
Kuma. She was a running mate, wasn't she?
She was a running mate. She was first a running mate.
For who? Was it Ivor Green Street?
Yes, Ivor Green Street. Then became national chairman, was removed as national chairman, and then became presidential candidate. The
national chairman said she decided not to leave the
place. No, she contested when she was removed. She actually went to court to contest and later.
So it was her and Nanaya Jantwa.
Yes.
But Nanaya said she's not going to contest it. She would just leave.
Yes, Nanaya decided not to contest.
But then she insisted that contested it and then decided to run for the flag. Decided to run for the flag bearership.
Okay, let's hear them. Let's hear them in the conference room.
I'm the General Secretary of the CPP, and thank you for having us. We are very happy to be here. With me is our flag bearer, Nana Akusia from Poma, Sapon Kumakuma, and our Vice Presidential Candidate, Wayo Ganamanti. We also have our Congress Secretary, Ebed Agbenya. We have our Organization Committee Chairman, Moses Irimambu, and the Deputy Chairman and also Director of Elections, Habib Yakubu, and also a prominent member of the party, Mr. Dick Milson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Returning Officer. Thank you.
Thank you. The presidential candidate of the Convention's People's Party, Nana Akusia Fefoma Sapon Kumakuma, and your delegation of August, made up of August men. I don't see many women following. Fellow commissioners, directors, ladies and gentlemen, and our friends from the media, a good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Electoral Commission of Ghana, I warmly welcome you to the Commission this afternoon. Indeed, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice and we are glad in it. I think we don't have many women who have filed their nominations so far, so we'd like to thank you for coming personally to file your nominations with the Electoral Commission this afternoon. As you may be aware, the Commission has waived to a certain extent by 25% the filing fees for women candidates. And this cuts across women who are filing for the position of the presidency, as well as those who are filing for parliamentary seats. So I think this is a first, and we'd like to thank you for taking advantage of it. We are gathered here this afternoon to carry out one of the most important processes in the lead up to the 2024 general election. Indeed, without this process, the Electoral Commission cannot run the election. And here I'm referring to the filing of nominations for presidential candidates who are seeking to contest the 2024 general election. Regulation 7 of CI 127 enjoins each presidential candidate to complete and sign 4 copies of the nomination forms. Additionally, the forms are to be signed by no less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly. The presidential candidate is also required by law to designate a person to serve as his or her vice presidential candidate. And furthermore, the candidate is required to deliver the forms to the Commission on the date prescribed by the Commission. As in 2020, the Commission has established 2 committees, a technical committee and an IT committee. And both committees have been tasked to review all the forms submitted to ensure that the forms are in conformity with the law and that the candidate meets the requirements as prescribed by law. I'd like to assure you that the committee has gone through training and they have been oriented. The key thing is for them to be fair and transparent in carrying out their duties. And I'd like to assure you that they would be fair and transparent, and then at the end of the day, the process would be peaceful. I'd like to welcome you to the Commission once again and to thank you for coming personally to submit your forms. We would go to work, the teams will go to work immediately on your forms, and we will contact you within the shortest possible time to inform you about the outcome. So thank you once again, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you.
At this point, we are going to do the symbolic gesture of presenting the nomination form by the presidential candidate to the returning officer.
It is my belief that, as you have said, you would really miss all the requirements. We'll get it all here. Thank you.
Per the procedure, will be 4 copies that are completed. The commission takes 3, and 1 is returned to the political party, serving as a receipt. In that document, we've written the time that the nomination form was received. So what you have on it is when the forms were received. The commission will go through, and then the accepted time also will be indicated in the other copies. So thank you very much. At this point, we'll hand over the mic to the candidate to say some few words. I would like to emphasize on the word few. Yes, to the Electoral Commission and to Ghanaians.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. We are also so grateful to be here. I'm looking forward to really a very successful election. So far, so good. Looking at the process that has brought us here, 39 forms have already been picked are here. It is very clear that the democracy of this country has now been deepened. It is my belief and hope that as the woman, one of the women, and the first woman to stand for the Convention People's Party is going to be there for all young people across the nation and everyone who has a dream and who believes in Ghana to be able to get up and do what is right for the nation. As we move forward, I want to take this opportunity to actually say that the trust that the Ghanaian has now had in being able to present themselves shows clearly that you've done very well and that a good job has been done. So as we enter the 2024 election, I want to trust that all the concerns that has been expressed would find a way, an amicable way, to resolve them, so that there'll be more confidence in the process as we go further. And let me tell all Ghanaians watching me, this is not for campaign, but just to say that all Convention People's Party, all in Gomoa East out there, all the people that believe in this country, this is the time. Convention People's Party is ready and poised. I want to tell the youth that our policies that we are coming up with, the agro-show, that specifically states that no Ghanaian farmer is going to farm in this country and have to worry about selling, based on our 3 pillars of ethics, equity, and innovation. That for that reason, though it might look like a very, very grandeur statement, it is based on the roots that we are from, where we put the welfare of every individual at the center of every decision we make. It is our belief that we are going to go further this time to make sure that poverty, listen, poverty is eradicated. That vision alone is going to be able for us to do exactly and more than we did in the early parts of the building this nation, at the early points where we're able to take the independence. When we said we wanted independence now, we knew what we were talking about. And we are here to tell the youth and everyone that the Convention People's Party is back with the kind of policies. The agro-show alone is going to be the pillar upon which the nation is going to pick itself back. And we will come back with the Ghana Bar shares. That means that every Ghanaian youth and every Ghanaian everywhere, all Ghanaians abroad, across, will now have access to funding. Based on this, I want to tell everyone, brace yourself. The Convention People's Party, the second coming, this is your time, this is your moment, and we are here again. Thank you very much.
On this note, we would like to thank you for coming and at the same time bring the event to an end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes.
So those are officials of the Convention People's Party with their flag bearer presenting their documents to the Electoral Commission chairperson. And well, we're not sure if there's any other. We're told that there's one more party or one more group that is going to come and present their papers. Meanwhile, interestingly, Kuma just outdoored her running mate, and it's someone we all know.
Yes, Wayo Ganamanti, popularly or formerly known as Joseph Tete Wayo.
Ras Wayo. So where's the Ras Wayo from?
Joseph Tete Ras Wayo was when he went to the Big Brother thing.
So Big Brother house, he was called Ras Wayo.
Yes.
By his...
As a lawyer, initially was called Joseph Tete Wayo, and now he's changed his name to Wayo Ganamanti.
I remember him when he was representing the Achimota students who were rejected because they wore dreadlocks. So I interviewed him, but you know him more than...
Yes, he has been doing the advocacy against GMOs.
Okay.
He was one of the lead people who were advocating against Ghana adopting and accepting GMOs.
Mm-hmm.
He resigned. He was a member of the NDC. He resigned in 2021 to join the Convention People's Party.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So he left NDC
yes.
to CPP. Sammy,
Yes.
do you know him? Ras Wayo?
I don't know much about him.
You don't know Ras Wayo?
I remember his days in Big Brother house. That was some years back.
I didn't have access to TV then, so I didn't know this. The only person I remember on Big Brother is Kumoji. That's the only time I remember. Okay. The understanding is that the Electoral Commission is going to hold a press conference. I believe that is why the chairperson has the microphones put before her.
Yes.
We would be crossing over to her when that is ready. She's going to respond to the Electoral Commission, the NDC, we are told. However, I need to hand over to my co-anchor, Sami Biafis, shouldn't I, Fred, so that you people can continue this conversation.
Like politicians, they say you have other pressing issues.
I have other pressing issues. Yes, it's coming up to 17:30 GMT. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take you back to the Electoral Commission. The program is ongoing. We'll tell you what next is happening. Please stay with us.